Are you a developer who wants to help your company's marketing team see the real impact in their Instantly campaigns? In this video, I'll show you an analytics dashboard I built using the Instantly API. It's something you can use or build on to help marketing teams make smarter, data-driven decisions. This is a React app that I built, which can easily be downloaded and built on top of. It pulls a list of campaigns and displays analytics data for each one. For example, in my Outreach to SaaS Founders campaign, you can see I sent about 5,000 emails, had around 800 opens, and received 150 replies. The dashboard uses Recharts, a React charting library to visualize daily trends, like how many emails were sent, opened, and replied to over time. There's also a second campaign called Outbound Marketing Test, which shows similar metrics and charts so you can easily compare performances between campaigns. Overall, this gives marketing teams a clear visual way to understand how their outreach campaigns are performing and where engagement is strongest. So before we jump into the code, we'll need an API key to actually use so that we can actually run the code. So to do that, you just need to go to your Instantly account, click on here and click Settings. From there, go on to Integrations, API Keys, and then Create API Key. Now you can go ahead and give it whatever name you want, but I think what's really important is that when you're going to be using campaigns, you want to make sure that you'll have it set to campaign reads, so that way you can actually read the campaigns. And this is really important for a API call that I'll be showing you here in a second. Now, when you do that, you click Create, it'll pop up. Make sure that you save that API key somewhere safe because it won't be visible again once the pop-up disappears. So to be able to test out the API key you just created, you're going to want to go ahead and download the Instantly Backend project. And when you do that, create a .env file. From there, there's going to be 4 sections you'll add. The port, the Instantly API key where you'll add your API key you just created, use mock, and mock base. So the mock base is just an easy way for me to make sure I don't have to rewrite this section of the API over and over again. Use mock. So use mock set to true means that inside of your code, you will be using the fake mock data that I have created. So that way you can just have something nice to test out before you start actually pulling from your campaigns. Or if you don't even have any campaigns at all, it'll give you something to work with. So now that our .env file is done, let's actually talk about our server.js file. So this file will actually be used to not only test the experience on the front end with mock data, but you can also see how you can kind of mix and match different API calls from Instantly to be able to customize the experience that your marketing team is going to have. So because my account was fairly new, I created this mock data to show what a larger campaign experience would be like. So this actually has 2 campaigns, which you probably remember from the beginning. You have the Outreach to SaaS Founders, and then you also have Outbound Marketing Test campaign. So these campaigns can actually be broken up into 3 different sections. You have this first section right here, which is pulled from the campaigns API call. So just general information of which campaigns do you have. You have the overview, which can be pulled from the overview API call, which gives the overall impact of the different campaigns that you have. And then you have the daily array right here, which gives you information on the individual days that you requested, telling you more about those days. And as a matter of fact, you can actually see those different API calls in the documentation itself, and I'll be sure to link all 3 of these in the description below. So in this section here, you have the list campaigns API call. So this is the one that just gives you the general, what type of campaigns do I have? You have the overview API call, which gives you information on the overall impact of those campaigns. And then lastly, you have the daily campaigns analytics. So for campaigns, this is the one where you give it a start date, end date, and then you can get information on those individual days. And you can actually see that in these charts where I have day number 1 and then day number 2. So now that we're done talking about the mock data and you've seen a few of the API calls, let's go ahead and actually dig deeper into the code. So here you're going to see there's 2 different APIs you can call. You have the health. So that just tells us whether or not it's actually running and if you're using mock data. And then you have the analytics API call, which pulls the data that it's actually creating. In my example, it's just pulling the mock data. Now, assuming you are not using the mock data, here's how it works. So the first thing it does is it fetches all the campaigns. So it'll run an API call for the campaigns, which is this one right here, and it'll give a general list of the campaigns that you have. So after it's done creating a list of every single campaign that you have, it's going to use this map functionality to loop through every single one that it has. And what that's going to do inside of this map is that it's going to call two different APIs. First one is for daily, so it'll make an array of every single day you requested from the start date to the end date, giving you information about those individual days. And then it'll also, after it does that, it will call the analytics overview, telling you the overall impact of those campaigns and creating the object for that. And then with it going through every single campaign, looping through, it basically combines all three, making one large object for everything you need to know about that campaign from those three API calls. So as you can see, even with just three API calls, you already start to see how powerful Instantly's data is. When you combine them, you get the full story: high-level campaign results, day-to-day engagement trends, and insights that show where things are really working and where they might need attention. What I love is how flexible the data is. Marketing teams can shape it however they need, whether it's tracking when engagement drops, comparing messages across campaigns, or tying outreach directly to booked meetings and closed deals. And that's really what makes Instantly stand out from other tools. Most platforms stop at opens or clicks, but Instantly connects those actions to actual business outcome. It's not just about sending more emails, it's about understanding what's working and driving growth. And assuming you did everything correct, you can actually compare your code to the actual app itself. So for example, with the general campaigns API call, you'll see the name appear here. With the overview API call with total closed, you can see it right here. And in the daily array section, where you'll see like sent, you can see on this day 500 sent. So that's a nice way to be able to compare the information that you're pulling and seeing how everything can be kind of mixed and matched together. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the front end, because even if you have like the best backend in the world, if your front end isn't telling a great story to your marketing team, it doesn't really matter. So really, you're going to be focusing on these three different files. You have your app.js, campaign card, and analytics charts. So the app.js has a use effect which calls on the API to pull the data. You're using Tailwind to basically customize the stylings in here instead of just straight CSS. And then you have like a checker right here that checks, if the campaign's amount is 0. If it is, then it will pull up a section telling you that it's loading the analytics. But if it finds it, then it will map through all of the campaigns that it has and start displaying them. So going to campaigns card, you'll see that we have this array that stores all these different buttons that pull up. We have, email sent, we have opens, replies, and all of this is using the Tailwind CSS stylings. From here in the return, we're going to be looping through all of those. And then what we're also doing is, as we're looping and creating these up here, we're also going to be creating these charts. And you can see each individual chart being created with the analytics chart component. So looking at here, you'll see that this is where we start using Recharts, that React tool that allows us to actually have graphs like this with the data that we can pull. So we have a lot of different things that you can use with it to basically customize like the different charts and how they're displayed. This is how I wanted to go showcase my data. I just felt like basic line graphs just made the most sense, and showcasing the dates for each individual day that I'm pulling. So overall, I feel like it's pretty responsive and just kind of gives people an idea of, different data that kind of makes sense. It's just like, email sent, opens, replies, clicks, opportunities.